All right, everybody, welcome back. Season 3
Take
of
two.
Take Two, might we add. Thank you. You beat me to it. Of the Rough Draft podcast. Kenny, Andy, Matt. We are back. And we are going to discuss a little bit more of professional football this year in the NFL, and as well as, of course, the college game, kind of review, talk about our teams, the Giants, the Jets, the Patriots, respectively. Or in the case of me and Kenny, not so respectively, because there's nothing to really respect. Anyway, moving forward. So a little bit thing about this episode is we're going to talk a little bit about some sleepers, surprises, good and bad, and guys who kind of just overall rookie wise that we were happy with, disappointed with, stuff like that. Then we're going to move into talk a little bit about our team's guys for this year, like the need of our teams, what we're looking for in this draft coming forward in 2019, and then hop right over into college football. We'll try to keep them between 40 minutes to like an hour. Would be a good time frame for us. So that's what we're looking forward to this year. No promises, and here we go. So surprises, good. We'll go first. Kenny, you're up.
All right, so I'll start with a guy. I mean, he wasn't surprised. We all knew he was going to be a stud, but it was just a matter of how long it was going to take him to be the player that we all thought he would be. One of your guys, an offensive lineman, Notre Dame, two things that suit you pretty well.
Yep.
Quentin Nelson.
Just not my playing career.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, it was fine until, it wasn't. So
Yeah.
we've all been there. So anyway, we'll go Quentin Nelson. The guy was just an absolute stud this year.
Stud.
He was an absolute stud. He basically turned a Colts offensive line from bottom in the league to top in the league.
Yep.
Luck was barely touched, and
which is unlike him not unlike him, unlike the Colts for his career.
Exactly.
Yep.
Maybe his shoulder will be able to hold up a little longer now that he's not getting sacked all the time.
Yep.
But that's in large part due to Quentin Nelson, obviously, starting it all off. They knew they needed to fix that so that they could have that franchise quarterback in Andrew Luck that they drafted and hope to have for a long time.
Yep.
It's definitely, Andy mentioned in the first take, but I'll jump on it here. They traded back, obviously, with the Jets to go get him, so be able to gain draft capital while also getting a possible Hall of Fame offensive lineman. I mean, It might be a strong take, but he's off to a pretty good start.
Yep.
So that's definitely my surprise. Not necessarily surprised, but how quickly he became such a great player is why it was a surprise to me.
Yep. For me, I am going to mention the guy from the first take, and I'm going to add a guy because I just saw one that Kenny saw on his phone. And I think it's a good one to bring up. But very similar to the offensive line, another position that's hard to sometimes adjust to as a rookie is the cornerback position. And with the 4th pick in this draft, Denzel Ward was taken by the Browns, which was a surprise to many. And he played down
second pick in the draft. Some people forget.
People forget that they took Baker Mayfield number 1. So yeah, Denzel Ward for me was a little bit of a surprise. I had him in the top 10, but I didn't have him up at 4. Maybe it was low, maybe it's 15, but he was right around there. And taking him at 4, I was shocked. The Browns, especially with Bradley Chubb on the board. And Denzel Ward played like a shutdown corner. He's going to be a good staple with Myles Garrett on that defense. For the new coaching staff to kind of build around moving forward with Baker on the offensive side of the ball. And then the other guy I had, as we did in our first take, but Maurice Hurst was a pleasant surprise, especially after everything he went through with his medicals and, kind of unsure if he'd even play ever again. So for me, he was a big positive for the Raiders in that defense, although they had a horrendous year. But we'll see how John Gruden can mess that one up. Off to Massachusetts. Andy, what do you got?
Well, yeah, offensively, I would definitely say that Philip Lindsay surprised me. I thought coming out of Colorado, if he even made an NFL team, it'd be a special teamer, maybe a receiving back. But he definitely surprised me as he came in the league, led the league in yards per carry. Looked like he had blazing speed on the field, which you didn't really see that, in my opinion, on his college tape. But he's definitely a dynamic threat definitely one of the most electric running backs in the league, and honestly, the undrafted player of the year.
Yep, absolutely. So let's swing it back, and we'll let you go again. How about a guy that you were more so disappointed with?
Yeah, I would say my biggest disappointment has to be Josh Rosen. I ranked him 1. I thought he would come in and definitely have his fair share of struggles, but it was bad. He was last in the league in passer rating, and the Arizona offense was dead last. They just had nothing going for them. No offensive line. Steve Wilkes, defensive coach, didn't really work out. His weapons were lacking, but still no excuses. He was bad, and you just hope it doesn't go the careers of other guys with a long-lasting impact of bad rookie years. You think of Joey Harrington, David Carr, but we'll see if he can follow in the likes of Goff with a big second year with Cliff Kingsbury. He'll need to come in and hopefully modernize the offense. Although the only thing I'm worried about, obviously, like Kyler Murray, but also he doesn't really fit the air raid scheme. He's more of a traditional drop back passer, and I don't know how that's going to work for the kid, but rooting for him.
Yeah, Kenny.
Yeah. So my biggest disappointment would have to be Ronald Jones. He was, I mean, you take out Saquon Barkley because he's obviously different level, but Ronald Jones is one of my guys that I liked at the running back position last year. I thought coming out of USC, he'd be really good receiving back. In today's NFL, at least I didn't know. A couple of years ago, he probably wouldn't have, or I didn't think he would have adjusted to fit that NFL as well. But I thought he'd step right in, be a good receiving back, quick, get into space, and make some stuff happen for whoever drafted him. Unfortunately, I was very sorely mistaken.
Not Trace McSorley.
No, not Trace.
No.
No, God, no. We don't want to talk about him. But I was mistaken. We don't want to talk about him. It's okay. But basically, I was disappointed with him. Clearly, it was Sam Darnold who made him who he was at USC. Hopefully, he can do something like that for the Jets. We'll see how that goes.
Absolutely. For me, my disappointment was a guy who a lot of people had high up in the draft process, and he kind of slipped due to off-the-field concerns and a little bit of his body type, kind of a lesser weight edge rusher guy was Arden Key, again with the Raiders. The Raiders had a really strange draft. Colton Miller, who's another guy you could talk about, could be a bust, but Arden Key, you got to hope. The Raiders got to hope that he turns out to be like a Leonard Williams as far as filling out his body a little bit more, his frame. But he really was not the same player that he was at LSU. And I think he was a little bit too hyped up. But again, Leonard Floyd, Randy Gregory took him a little bit to kind of get their bodies into what they had to get him into. And you just don't want to see them fall off onto the other side of the wagon there. So,
I mean, we like to be positive here too. So we do obviously
hope he does.
Disappointments, not busts yet, because you got to see where they take, like Andy mentioned, Rosen hopefully takes another step, takes any step next year and can actually fill the role.
Football.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. But obviously all these guys, I mean, plenty of guys first year disappoint and then start to come into their own in their next couple of years in the NFL. So we'll be keeping an eye out for those guys, especially to see how they respond to some adversity.
Yeah. And I think that's exactly a great point. Like, you can't say that these guys are busts yet. If it happens 2 years in a row, then maybe it's starting to think about the word bust. But, especially in the case of Josh Rosen, his offensive line wasn't too great. His weapons aren't the best. So maybe they can get some more supporting pieces around him.
Right. Or he gets a completely new team that can thrive under.
Yeah, which would not be the Giants. Let's hope not. Yeah, let's hope not. So let's talk a little bit about rookie production on our teams. Kenny for the Jets, me for the Giants, and then Andy for the Pats. And then we'll jump into kind of targets for this year's draft positionally and maybe some players that we'll talk about quickly. And then we'll move into college ball and that kind of stuff. So for me, the Giants, of course, Saquon Barkley. All right, next. Saquon, of course, for me, is the offensive rookie of the year. I'm not just saying that because I'm a Giants fan. I really believe that he obviously had a bigger body of work, played all the games. Just really looks like he's going to be exactly what everyone said he'd be for years to come. Just nothing but good things to say about the guy. Will Hernandez came in, had some growing pains, of course, playing guard, but graded out fairly well. Played really well. He's a tough, physical guy. He's only going to get better. Plays next to Nate Solder, so that's only could help him. Lorenzo Carter, BJ Hill, two guys I really like a lot. BJ Hill with 5.5 sacks. Led the rookies, I think, interior guys in sacks. Really good, quick off the ball. Really underrated. Played with Bradley Chubb at NC State. And then Lorenzo Carter off the edge. Georgia, another really good two-way player, actually, off the edge. He did a lot of nice things for the Giants, came on, and his role increased as the season went on. And I think he's only going to take another jump in the right direction. And Dave Gettleman, unlike Jerry Reese, finally hit on a draft in completion. So that was great. And the Giants need it moving forward. Yeah, so that's for me. That was my little recap on the rookie class, just quickly. And I'll swing it over to you, Ken.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously you step through each of the draft picks. I'm going to focus on two of the Jets draft picks, in large part because we traded away some draft picks to move up to 3 to get Sam Darnold. But
who'd you guys trade with?
Yeah, really?
Oh, the Colts, right?
Right,
Who did they take?
Oh, right. That guy that I said was a surprise that I really loved. Yeah.
Yeah, but the Jets needed Darnold.
We needed
more
a quarterback.
Than Nelson, yeah.
I like the trade up still. We needed a quarterback.
Right.
So I'm actually going to start with a different draft pick. Herndon, our tight end, who I think has been, you could argue, one of the best rookie tight ends in last year's draft class. He had a great year for any really rookie tight end, and he started to click with Sam Darnold a lot as the year went on. I was ready to move on from him and was like, nah, just like all the other tight end draft picks we kind of took in those middle rounds and kind of write them off. But fortunately, he kind of came into his own and proved to everyone that he can definitely be a tight end in the NFL, and hopefully creates a little bit more chemistry with Sam Darnold, and they can build off that for years to come. Hopefully get another nice piece and help Sam out a little bit. And moving on to Sam here, he definitely was someone that I was very excited that we traded up for. We needed to take a risk, go after that quarterback. I know we have our USC early draft pick issues at quarterback, but I'd like to forget about that. The kid is, I mean, and I say a kid because he's younger than all of us. And as most are, but he is extremely young. I mean, one of the youngest rookie quarterbacks to play in the NFL. I mean, 21. That's amazing. Just to think that he was able to make the leap, whether it was as big a leap as I would have liked, but he proved to us that he can make plays at the NFL level, and he can be that franchise quarterback. I mean, he definitely struggled, but we knew he was going to struggle. Coming out of USC, a bunch of bad decisions at USC alone, and you knew that was going to translate to the NFL. Hopefully he can start to take it, make some of those decisions, maybe hold the ball, throw it away, do something else, maybe create like he did a couple of times this year where my jaw just kind of dropped and said, all right, this guy can be our quarterback.
Yeah.
And like I got real excited at times this year
against the
watching
Bills
play. Yeah.
He did that towards the end of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. So all stuff like that, very positive. I mean, obviously not the best rookie year, but he's very young, and I think that he's going to get better and better as years come, and we're getting away from a defensive-minded team, defensive-minded coach, and moving on to Bug Eyes, and hopefully he creates a nice little relationship with Sam Darnold, and they can kind of move forward. Let him air it out a little more. Stay away from all those stupid screen passes that we love to run on, first, second, and third down. So hopefully we'll open up the offense a little bit and see what Sam can do. But positive right now.
Definitely some positive stuff. And the Jets needed to move away from the defensive mind.
Absolutely.
Head coach. And they just brought in Greg Williams.
Let the DC handle the defense. We need to focus on offense. The quarterback.
Yep.
What was that, Andy?
The bounty hunting.
The bounty hunting, yes.
Listen.
Bounty hunting in New York. What is more fitting, honestly?
Listen, it'll get pressed. It's all good.
Yep. That's all they want.
Jamal Adams is ready.
That's going to be scary. Jamal Adams and Greg Williams' defense is going to be
pretty sick.
fun to watch. And a team that's going to be able to watch it quite a bit is going to be Tom Brady and the Pats. So, Andy, give us your rookie class or your one rookie, really, impact.
So, yeah, basically the Patriots rookie class was a tale of two rookies on both sides of the ball who are both starters and hopefully a big part of the future for years to come. Sonny Michel, obviously, he's no Saquon Barkley, but he fits the mold of a typical Patriots power back. He just has enough elusiveness to him. Not a lot of breakaway speed that you saw at Georgia, but he could still be healing up. He's been injured a lot. But when he's been on the field healthy, he's made a big impact. 100-yard-plus games, I think he's had 4 or 5 of them. And he obviously gives the offense a good balance in a year where we've lacked the pass catches to really be the pass-heavy team we've been in the past. And then on the defensive side, we've had a surprise with J.C. Jackson as the number 2 corner across Gilmore. And he's honestly been a revelation. Since he's been in the defense, the pass defense has been near the top of the league. Hasn't given up a touchdown. Lowest passer rating against of any corner. And the reason he fell, honestly, undrafted because he got kicked out of Florida.
You can say he broke in and stole the number 2 corner spot, right?
Yeah, I'm burglary. He was acquitted. He was acquitted. So honestly, you have a Tyreek, we have a JC. They're gonna battle it out. I'll take the robber over the domestic abuser. That's just me.
As will I. It's all right. I'll side with you there.
But yeah, so honestly,
I'd rather neither, but it's all good.
Our last few draft classes as a Pats fan have been rocky, so it's good to have an impact play on both sides of the ball moving forward.
Yeah. Yep. It would be a real shame if, God forbid, just some player was good on the Patriots and they had some sort of success. God forbid that ever happened. No, but yeah, I mean, I think all these rookie classes actually were fairly decent, even for Andy, not having many numbers of guys, but really the quality of guys moving forward for all 3 of our teams were pretty decent.
And I think one other team that we should probably point out, we mentioned it in the first take, is the Colts.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely took advantage. What was that?
They killed it.
Yeah,
they really did.
Took advantage of basically the opportunity that they created for themselves, and I'll kind of pass it off to you guys to start off because I kind of took their first pick and highlighted him, so I'll let you guys take the pieces you want to highlight now.
Yeah, I mean, Chris Ballard's got to win Executive of the Year, in my opinion.
Easily.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he runs away with that. Maybe some people will say Ryan Pace in Chicago.
He went kind of all in, though. Like, Ballard built for the future. That's why he gets
it. That was a lot of, obviously, signings, free agent signings as well. And
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely see that.
Trade for that guy. I forget his name. Yeah, it's all good.
Oh, Khalil Mack. Yes, forgot about him. And then I'm sure, again, John Gruden will mess that up. I love saying that. I'm going to say that every podcast. But
it'll be a running meme.
But yeah, so you got Quentin Nelson, Marlon Mack was last year, right? Yeah, so Nyheim Hines.
There's this guy that was
Darius Leonard.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Well, even you could look at even Malik Hooker. I know he wasn't technically a rookie, but he was hurt all last year. Came back. This is was his rookie year.
Kenny Moore, second-year player they stole from us.
Yep,
pretty well back there.
He was kind of like it was Luck's second rookie year. So
yeah,
finally back.
His second stint as a rookie. No, so yeah, they had tremendous impact, and that team was actually pretty fun to watch. Andrew Luck do what he did and finally be healthy and have some protection, and Braden Smith, out right tackle for them also started, so they were incredible.
Yeah, I mean, they killed it. We all kind of agree best draft class in the NFL last year.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
We all kind of aligned there.
Yeah, it's one of the best ever. That and the Saints last year with Kamara, Lattimore,
exactly
for a decade.
And realistically, no offense to the Patriots here, but what happened with them with the Colts with Josh McDaniels really kind of sucked.
No doubt.
I hate to say that, but but yeah,
they also made the best of that situation going out and getting Reich, who obviously learning under the NFL Super Bowl champions and kind of building that offense a way that he wanted it definitely helped Luck obviously stay healthy as well.
Yeah, absolutely. That was the biggest part of it. I think you have to protect Luck, especially after
So they made the most of that coaching mishap.
All right. So moving on to college ball, and kind of projecting some needs that our team needs. What are some other things that you guys would say for the Jets, the Pats, and I'll talk about the Giants, obviously. Some things that you guys are looking to add in the draft based on team need.
I'll let Andy start this one off.
Yeah, so for the Patriots, you guys hear me?
Yeah, you're good.
All right, because the whole screen's frozen. You can just edit that thing, right?
Yeah, it's fine.
That'll be easy.
Your two faces are frozen, but I don't really give a shit. As long as it's working.
Yeah, you could hear us.
All right, that's great. So back. Jesus. Sweet. So yeah, back to the Patriots. I definitely think their team needs obviously have to start at tight end. Gronkowski, you know, this year he really fell off receiving wise. You can just tell his explosion's just not there. He's giving it his all in his blocking, which I respect. Still a top level blocker, but the Pats offense went through a tight end basically for almost a decade with Gronk and the other guy. But,
look, another guy that, you know, did some bad things with the law. Yeah. But keep going.
Did some bad things with the law. And even before him, you had Ben White, Daniel Graham. Belichick loves the tight end. So, honestly, I think that's the number one place they got to attack. And then Brady's going to turn 42, so you have to have a quarterback. It's just a matter of do you wait this year or attack in 2020? But I would look at tight end, and if a quarterback's there, go for it. If not, best player available.
Personally, who would you want tight end? Obviously, two guys, but who would be your choice if you could pick either?
Easily, my number one choice at tight end would be Irv Smith. He just fits that Patriots mold of a complete tight end, I think. I know he's a little raw, but he kind of reminds me of Daniel Graham way back in the day. Just he's an inline tight end. He can split out wide, great athleticism. Similar to O.J. Howard, just not as upside as him, but I'm all for him.
Interesting. I like at the tight end position this draft. I like Noah Fant from
those were the two that I was
Iowa, and again the other Iowa tight end is T.J. Hawkinson. So who also just declared the other day.
Yep.
Both those guys are both really great. And Irv Smith, though, I like Irv Smith's game a lot.
Yeah.
I just feel like weirdly that the Alabama tight end never really like pans out to be all that great. Like I thought O.J. Howard was going to be much better than he was, or that he is. Excuse me. Like he's good. But I thought he was going to be like a top 5 tight end. And I just don't see that.
Fair.
You know, personally. And I could see Tyler Eifert going to the Pats. My prediction. Tyler Eifert's going to go to the Pats. He'll have his only healthy season. And
I hope he can walk and enjoy retirement.
Yeah. There you go. Ken?
All right. So basically the two biggest spots that I'm looking for the Jets to go after this year is we need a pass rusher,
big time
edge rusher, without a doubt, and you need to give Darnold another weapon. Those are the two pieces for me that are, I'd say, most important.
Yep.
And in the draft, top of the draft, it's not really weapons. You have the edge rushers. It's all defense. Yeah. And one of the guy I want is Josh Allen. I mean, I loved a different Josh Allen last year. And I love Josh Allen this year. He's really the only reason Kentucky was ever in that race. With
Benny Snell?
What was that?
Benny Snell, running back.
No, yeah, I know. You echoed a little, so I didn't quite catch it. It's all good. But yeah, no, absolutely. But I mean, he was to me. Faster than I ever thought he would, and the more I watch, the more I just fall in love with this guy and really hope the Jets are able to get him at 3. Basically, so now, if you want to hit on the Giants, have that.
All right, the Giants needed everything. No, they had obviously a rough year, a little bit better than the year before, and I think that's expected, especially when you're trying to clean up the mess that Jerry Reese kind of left over the past couple of years. So with that said, obviously the quarterback position, Eli has like 1 year left, maybe 2, maybe. I mean, that's really stretching it. So quarterback is obviously something you have to look at. Obviously the right tackle position. They did a good thing in bringing in Jamon Brown from the Rams. He did a really good job at right guard. Chad Wheeler is not a bad backup, but right tackle is something that you need to look at. So Jonah Williams is definitely a target. Inside linebacker. And the way the linebacker position is being played today, the guy needs to be able to do everything: run sideline to sideline, cover, blitz. And Alec Ogletree and BJ Goodson are just too much of a downhill run stopping threat. So I'd like a guy like Devin White from LSU. And again, pass rusher. So if Josh Allen somehow falls, that'd be awesome. Definitely safety is a bit of a concern because Landon Collins has never played with really good free safety. So that's somewhere to look maybe in the second round. So it'll be interesting. I think honestly, best player available for the Giants. I hate to say that and give the Dave Gettleman answer, but even cornerback would be a good position to look at. So a guy like Greedy Williams.
So Dwayne Haskins, quarterback.
So Dwayne Haskins, I'm sure, will be the pick. And I have to be honest with you, I wouldn't want him either. So yes.
So we want to move on to just kind of college season guys.
Yep.
Maybe that top of our radar we want to keep an eye on, or different whatever teams guys that impressed us.
Right. That's fine.
Yep. Cool. And you want to start us off?
Yep.
Yeah, so one guy I definitely like who honestly is just built for this new era NFL is Hollywood Marquise Brown out of Oklahoma. Honestly, most college football fans know his game. There's a speed demon, deep threat, and he has more nuance to his game. He can run other routes, and I think he translates to the league. Not quite Tyreek Hill, but maybe T.Y. Hilton, someone like that. And I think he's going to really get overdrafted in the sense that basically any offense could use a play like that to stretch the field and honestly open up the middle of it, especially because it's turning into such a shootout fest in the league. So I think he's worth the first-round pick. It's just I'm not sure he'll make a big impact right away, but someone can.
And who's he related to?
Antonio Brown.
That's
who
right.
Also is kind of losing his mind right
now. Yeah, he's going through like a Kanye phase. Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown is the Kanye West of the NFL right now.
Basically.
Yeah. So guy I really like. There's a lot of guys I like in this draft, but I'm gonna go on the edge rusher position, defensive end, Jalen Ferguson.
Sacks leader.
Yeah, sacks leader. Sorry, I'm getting a lot of notifications in my beautiful in-home studio. So Jalen Ferguson I really like a lot. He's a guy definitely to keep an eye on. He's a really, really good, powerful edge rusher. Uses his hands really well. And I think his game is just going to translate fantastic. He came out, this year, finally his senior year. We'll see him in the Senior Bowl. Could have came out last year, but did not. So with that, that's my guy I like to keep an eye on, a little underrated player. And I think his game is going to translate really, really well. So Kenny, what about you?
Yeah, definitely. I have a couple guys. I'm really interested in the wide receiver spot this year, just because there's really no number one. So I think just the top of that wide receiver class is something that I want to keep an eye on and see how that starts to develop and see different people's takes of who they think is the best wide receiver in this class. I know Andy mentioned one. You have both Ole Miss guys.
Yeah, DJ Metcalf.
Right? And AJ Brown. Yeah, exactly. So it's like they had obviously such an explosive offense this year.
ASU, N'Keal Harry.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's so many that are at the top of the list that I don't think there's a clear one for many people. Like you could argue any of them basically could be the number one wide receiver this year. So that's something I want to keep an eye on. But also a quarterback in this now at least a little bit concentrated class now that Murray's declared is Daniel Jones out of Duke, a guy that I don't want to say smaller school, but not as well known for football. Obviously not the same as Ohio State, even though quarterback isn't their forte, but you get Oklahoma, some of these guys that I think it's going to be real interesting to see where he kind of falls when everything settles, and see he's climbed up a lot of boards recently, but at the same time now the announcement of Kyler Murray, see if, I don't know, maybe a team higher up like obviously prefers running quarterback and less traditional. So we'll see how see how that kind of falls, but definitely a guy I want to keep an eye on and see how he performs moving forward.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Is he a senior, Daniel Jones? Is he going to the Senior Bowl? Senior Bowl guy?
I believe he graduated. He's at the Senior Bowl.
He's at the Senior Bowl, right?
I know he's at the Senior Bowl.
That's a good crop, that position at the Senior Bowl. There's a lot of good guys there. I think they got
intriguing. I want to see Tyree Jackson. That'll be fun.
Tyree, that's a couple big arms, right?
So not to kind of jump the gun, but that's a guy that I mentioned to Matt and Andy. Geez,
almost 2 years ago.
Almost 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Yep.
A guy like from New York, obviously, I have a family that went to Buffalo, so they kind of got me hooked on watching some of the games. And I'll tell you, that guy is so much fun to watch. I mean, obviously, completion percentage isn't where we would want it to be for an NFL prospect, but the guy has a cannon of an arm. He looks like it's just like effortless for him out there. I'm really hoping he can see what he can do with some good coaching.
Right.
He had a good wide receiver out there with him. Hopefully now he gets surrounded with some other really good talent, and I want to see how he kind of performs similar Senior Bowl, all stuff like that. He's a guy that I'd love to keep an eye on as well.
Yeah, it's funny because I'm just looking up right now the Senior Bowl quarterbacks, and there's some real big names. I mean, I don't know. Obviously, you don't like him as a quarterback really so much, but Trace McSorley, Clayton Thorson, Drew Lock, who has a fantastic arm. But I think what you tend to realize and what the NFL is about at the quarterback position is accuracy, decision-making accuracy. Baker Mayfield, of course, being one of the most accurate quarterbacks ever in the draft, he went number one because of his accuracy. And
got to be able to tread that zone.
Right now, if you look at it, yeah, he's got a big arm, but how's his accuracy? He's okay. He's not like fantastic. And Ryan Finley doesn't have the strongest arm, so he'll be interesting to watch. It's a pretty interesting quarterback class in the Senior Bowl.
A lot of different types of quarterbacks as well, coming from like whatever their strength. I mean, obviously that's for a lot of years, but especially this year, I think you see just a very diverse group of talent at the quarterback position.
Mm-hmm.
And something that I think that I would like to hit on just on a team level, but also impacting the draft, obviously, is Clemson and that D-line.
Sure.
I mean, we have a bunch of guys, at least a handful of guys to talk about over on that side of the ball, and specifically on that defensive line. So I know personally, I think, you look at Wilkins and that guy, he impressed me so much. Watching him the last two games, obviously doing it without Dexter Lawrence was a very surprising and something that I don't know if that would necessarily hurt his draft stock, but I still think that he's going to be kind of just a nice little bottleneck right in the middle of any line. He's a moose.
Sure.
So I'm curious what you guys think of those guys, specifically those three with Ferrell.
Yeah, Clelin Ferrell is obviously the highlight of this draft is the pass rush, the D line, up and down like you mentioned, Dexter Lawrence, Clelin Ferrell, Christian Wilkins, Nick Bosa, Ed Oliver. The list goes on and on. Josh Allen, if you want to put him in a linebacker, DN. But yeah, all those guys are really, really great. Clelin Ferrell had a hell of a national championship game.
Absolutely.
Really made a ton of money for himself, and he's going to be a big riser. I like all those guys. There's no doubt about it. And like you said, Wilkins only elevated his game when, being double teamed more so without Dexter in the lineup. So,
exactly.
And there's actually rumor now that they're losing one Lawrence. The other Lawrence is going to also play D-line. So Trevor Lawrence is not only so great at quarterback, he's playing D-line next
year. I heard he's going number one overall. They're drafting the rights to Trevor Lawrence each of the next 3 years until he comes out.
Yep. No, but Andy, what do you think? What do you think about the Clemson D-line?
Yeah, I definitely think Dexter Lawrence, out of all of them, is an interesting one just because the run-stopping nose tackle has kind of lost value. Damon Harrison's arguably the best in the league, and he was had for a fifth-round pick at the trade deadline. So I'm curious how far he falls because he's 350 pounds. He's a mountain of a man, and he's dominant against the run. But it's just a matter of how valuable teams value that type of player nowadays.
Yeah, and also he failed that drug test missed
That too, yeah.
two of the biggest games, which could obviously drop him. Who knows if that will open up another can of worms for the kid. So that's definitely something to keep an eye on.
Yeah.
Moving forward.
And I'll be honest, I don't know how he is athletically, like speed-wise and stuff like that.
Sure.
But in today's NFL, you have to be able to move laterally, and
a guy like Rashawn Gary is perfect.
Yeah, you need you obviously have a big guy like that in the middle. Teams are going to try and get the ball away from there and kind of swing stuff maybe to the outside or bounce stuff to the outside. And
sure.
I'm curious to see how he is able to kind of adjust to that and see how he can maybe get after a running back that bounces it outside or pass rush more so than he is maybe comfortable with normally, obviously being such a good run defender. So
Absolutely.
I'm curious to see how he adjusts.
Absolutely,
sure.
Yeah. And you talk a little bit about Clemson, their quarterback position with Trevor Lawrence. Of course, Trevor had a big rivalry in high school with the other number one recruit, Justin Fields, who obviously his impact was felt by Dwayne Haskins entering the draft. So now he's moving on to Ohio State. You had Tate Martell at Ohio State now moving because of that to Miami. Kyler Murray goes into the draft, and
Jalen Hurts.
Jalen Hurts goes to Oklahoma. Their backup kid now goes to
West Virginia.
To replace Will Grier. So there's a big carousel, and it's an effect happens based off of just one kid going one place, another kid going another. Brandon Wimbush from Notre Dame going to UCF. It'll be interesting when Mackenzie Milton recovers from his 800th ACL.
Yep, and injury. It's all going to be. I definitely think it's going to be fun to watch because we're very lucky in the fact that we get multiple years of some of these top quarterbacks. Specifically, you get Tua, even though his freshman year he was just obviously one game, one half. But
right,
we see what he can do. We'll get 3 years of Trevor Lawrence, 3 years of Fromm. Like you can go down the list. There's a handful of guys that now we're going to get to see for
Jacob
a bunch
Eason
of years.
Coming back now.
Well, he's coming back, and it's a little different than some of the 1 year wonders that we've seen recently with Mitch Haskins, along those lines. So I definitely think it's going to be fun to see these guys develop as a starter for multiple years as opposed to just 1 year and kind of make their money then. Right. So I'll enjoy watching them develop that way as well in college as opposed to in the draft and in the pros.
And it's a rare thing, I think, that you see. You don't see a guy stay that long and have success. Really like Jarrett Stidham, stayed and look how he panned out, and there's a couple other guys you could think about, but
and a lot of times you get these guys that are, and these guys that are at the top of the mountain. You could say it's like a lot of times, like Trevor Lawrence, like you have to look at it and be like, all right, what more can this kid do that is going to make me say like, okay, he got better,
and there's really not much, I don't think.
And that's the thing is like a lot of times we put such high expectations on these players that if they don't meet those expectations, they can still be a great player and have a great season, but we don't really respect it as much as we should. And I think that's going to be interesting to see with mainly those three guys moving forward.
Interesting. So just to wrap up, any final thoughts, Andy?
Yeah, I think this year, honestly, Kyler Murray is going to add just the big intrigue as we lead up to this because he has a deadline coming up February for spring training to see what he does. And honestly, that could have a spiral effect because maybe your Giants could pick him at 6, the Jaguars at 7. And I just think he's probably the number one storyline heading into the combine season.
Has to be.
Without a doubt.
So it'll be interesting to see what Kyler does. Apparently, he weighed in the other day at 175 pounds, 5'9¾".
Wait, actually?
Yeah, and
holy smokes.
The next closest to that would be Russell Wilson at 209 pounds.
He's a running back, Russell Wilson.
Yeah,
the guy's a beast. And
the guy's legs are thick.
Thick. That's with 2 C's. Thick.
I'll give him 3.
3 C's, whatever you want. But yeah, I'll be honest.
Well, that'll be noteworthy.
Yeah. Well, I'm obviously big football guy, big football fan, and obviously do these draft podcasts, really interested in the draft. I'm also baseball guy, and
he's a pitcher, everybody. He likes baseball. He wants him to go to baseball.
I think he should go. Just as a thing that, like, I think we should all kind of kind of put out there. Like, I thought he should have went baseball, especially now knowing coming in at that size. I mean, the money's obviously to start in football, but I think I'm just worried about his health at that size, at that weight. We haven't really seen anything like it. And those types of guys get hurt all the time, and less so like a sustained career. I'm worried like year to year, will he be missing games and stuff like that? Whereas you can almost guarantee a healthy season, at least for playing baseball. And I mean, it'll be interesting. I'm not disappointed that he came into the NFL draft. I think it's a lot of fun, and it's going to be a wrinkle that we weren't expecting, and he's going to definitely make a difference in the NFL, at least to start, because his legs alone, you look at what Lamar Jackson did this year, and he's not the passer that Kyler Murray is.
No, sure.
So I definitely think there's a spot for him, and he's going to make a big difference in the NFL. So it's definitely not a negative that he came out.
That's right. Yeah, Kyler Murray with, I think, the ultimate leverage move, business move on his end, because he can play this any way he wants. You know, John Elway basically did the same thing, getting drafted by the Yankees, using leverage against the Baltimore Colts at the time, that he wouldn't play for them. Of course, Russell Wilson has always something to fall back on, God forbid.
Loves going to spring training.
Yeah, I mean, so many guys, you know, Deion Sanders, Bo Jackson, all, you know, hell, Michael Jordan in the NBA. I mean, you really, it's a real leverage play, and it gives him options.
Absolutely.
And I think Kyler Murray has a great future in both sports. I think either way he spins it, he can make it work. I think definitely this kind of just furthers his point of his true love being football.
Absolutely.
Which he kind of always started out with. I'm curious, is he allowed to play for Oklahoma this year in baseball?
No. He's a professional baseball player.
So he's okay.
He can't play NCAA.
Gotcha.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Okay.
So there you go.
Yeah, once you sign a contract, you can't go play. You already got paid to play the sport, so you can't.
Oh,
yeah,
in college.
Interesting. So yeah, I think the biggest deadline for him is not even so much spring training as much as it is the combine.
The next couple weeks are going to be very telling about where he's at, and
the next 60 days I would say for Kyler Murray is going to be big for the draft and have its impact. So definitely is going to shake things up, which will be fun. Something that we haven't really had in, I don't think, ever. So this is definitely one of those things that'll be interesting.
I mean, it could be the first time out. I'm sure everyone knows this, but it could be the first time ever a guy gets drafted in the first round in both the NFL and the MLB.
Crazy. Yeah, crazy.
That just speaks to the athlete that he is as well, obviously.
Yeah, yep. So special player. So anyway, with that, that is episode 1 for the 3rd season of the Rough Draft Podcast. All right, so we'll see you guys next week, or we'll try to come out with these every other week in the beginning, and then closer to the draft, we'll try to do it once a week at least.
Live from the draft this year.
Live from the draft this year is the goal. So hopefully,
that's the goal, people.
Grad school doesn't get in the way for me. I'm praying it does not, and we are booking that hopefully soon. So,
welcome back, everybody.
Yep, welcome back. We are back. All right, see you guys next time.